Well, let's begin right here in New York City, where in just about 30 minutes, a jury will reconvene in Donald Trump's criminal trial. The former president is accused of falsifying business records to cover up a so-called hush money payment to adult film star Stormy Daniels back in 2016. Trump has pleaded not guilty on all counts. Yesterday, the jury requested readbacks of portions of testimony from David Pecker and Michael Cohen, as well as the judge's instructions.
So for more on this, let's bring in CBS News national correspondent Errol Barnett, just outside the courthouse, as per usual. Errol, okay, so we need to bring everyone up to speed, right? What can you tell us about the testimony that the jury asked to review yesterday?
Anne-Marie, great to see you this morning. Well, this is key. After only about 4 hours of deliberation yesterday afternoon, the jury asked to get more information on what the prosecution calls the backbone of their case. Two of the requests related to a Trump Tower meeting, we believe in August of 2015, which the prosecution says was the nexus for this scheme that Donald Trump masterminded, in which he would use his connections with David Pecker, the publisher of the National Enquirer, and his lawyer Michael Cohen at the time, to suppress any negative allegations or negative stories about him before the 2016 election and amplify negative stories about his opponents so that he could win the White House. The prosecution has said that in order to, and the judge's instructions also have shown that in order to find Donald Trump guilty on all 34 felony counts, the jury not only has to agree that Donald Trump falsified the repayment checks to Cohen under legal retainer or legal expenses when it was really a reimbursement, but they have to believe that it was done knowingly to further another crime. That other crime, the prosecution has said, is a New York state law which says if you're running for office, you cannot do so through unlawful means, and paying off people to not bring forward their story or this catch and kill scheme would effectively be one of those unlawful means. So it's very key that Trump Tower meeting is something they want to review, and the conversations that they asked to review, the other two details, all relate to David Pecker getting an agreement from Donald Trump to go ahead and move forward with these plans. And so it's very interesting that that's what the jury out of the gate asked to review and look back to.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people will be surprised by just how long the process is to get them this testimony to be read back to them. We're living in an era where I can, dictate a text message into my phone and it's written right away. Why is the process like this? Or what is the process? And do we have any idea why it's so complicated?
Yeah. Well, this is where you get to kind of paint the picture inside the courthouse. These 12 jurors are sequestered, and for the first time in this, 6-week-long trial, they're sitting across a table from one another, and they're getting to say, well, what do you think? Do you think he's guilty? Do you think he's not guilty? They have a laptop in that room with all of the exhibits and the evidence that the prosecution has brought forward, except for the hours and days of testimony that we've all sat through. And so the judge's instructions as well, which took about an hour for the judge to read, isn't handed to them in the jury room. So they've just been told by the judge, divorce yourself of any opinions or bias. You must believe beyond a reasonable doubt that the defendant is guilty in order to convict, and make your decisions carefully. They are doing that. They all have to be on the same page. They all have to come back with the same decision in effect in order to avoid a mistrial. And so what they've done is they've said, okay, there are key pieces of testimony. Let's look back. Let's go back and look at the transcript. Maybe there's some disagreement among the jurors about what the judge's instructions were or what it was precisely said, 2, 3, 4 weeks ago on the witness stand. And so they have to then turn to the judge and say, we'd like to hear these 4 pieces of evidence or these 4 pieces of testimony. Overnight or late yesterday, early today, they've had to go back and highlight and finalize and identify what that testimony is, and they've had to determine which specific judge instruction did you want to rehear. At 9:30 this morning, that's when they're going to hear those things. It could take about an hour for them to get the info they need, but it's this combination of, yes, there's some new school technology. They have a laptop with the evidence, but it's old school in that they have to go through the rigmarole of requesting items and pieces of transcripts and instructions that now are only coming back to them today.
Yeah, old school for real. Errol, I know you're going to continue to stand by. Give us updates as things get rolling in court. Yes. Things should start up in about a half hour or so. Great talking to you. Talk to you later.